everyone. This is week 2, Crescent Football, Flag Football League, Long Island. And it was a thrilling week last Saturday. Some expected and some unexpected events took place. The unexpected was that the Ballers ended up putting up 0 points after I went and made a very bold prediction that we have the best quarterback on our team. And it came back to bite me because we put up 0 points. The offense went nowhere. Well, we didn't get into the end zone at least. All right, the other big surprise to me was Pluto and the Niners game. Despite the rain, despite the conditions, it was a pretty high, nearly 90 plus points scored in that game total, and a lot of back and forth. So knowing that the quarterbacks went back and forth, I want to emphasize this week's talk. I want to start it off with the quarterbacks, and I kind of went and looked at who's doing what in the quarterbacks, and I figured that there was probably one person that best fits who's gonna help me get through the tiers and the levels and the rankings of quarterbacks. So I have with me here Shu, who's gonna be dropping some wisdom on us today. Welcome, Shu.
Thanks, Usman. Happy to be here. Nice to see you on camera instead of in person, because I know that gets a little annoying.
All right. So how's it going, man? Crescent Football. You've been a member for a very very long time. It seems since inception. You've definitely had glory days. I know you've been at the top of held the trophy a few times around here. So tell me a little bit about your background. We know your QB background. Just tell me about yourself in Crescent.
All right, yeah. So we joined Crescent. I think it was 2015. I want to say so, almost 9, 10 years ago. And fortunately, we were able to win that year. We beat a very good Niners team, very athletic. And then the following year, we lost the championship. I think Nafi had 2 pick sixes. I think we lost by like a touchdown or something like that. And then after that, I think we took a year off and then we rejoined, but I was kind of like in the background. Bob had put in the team. It was a really, really good team. We went undefeated. And then we had, then I think we took another couple of years off, so I haven't really been playing. But now I'm participating in a little bit of different roles, trying to help out the league and
All right, we're definitely going
seeing
to talk
where
about what
where we
your
can go.
role is, what your new role is with Crescent, and what you're doing behind the scenes. I know you've been putting in a lot of work in the off season, and you're trying to, kind of make things a little bit more smoother, and it's already we're seeing the effects of it. But I know it's a longer game, and we'll definitely dive a little bit more into that. But I do want to start off. Maybe we'll recap last week's games a little bit. So then we'll dive right into maybe where I think everyone stands in terms of rankings, and then we'll talk about what is expected in terms of next week. So, kicking it off with the recap. So, I did say there was some surprising things that took place and some not surprising things. What I'm not surprised about is our journalist Chapito Jones being absolutely right with his predictions once again. I don't know how this guy does it, but he does it. So I think every team that he picked to win ended up winning across both divisions. The guy's good at his job. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Should play the lotto
Yeah.
last week, right?
With that being said, we've got a little bit of ratings going on right now in terms of leaders in their class. So I've got some offensive leaders and I've got some defensive leaders in the elite division. And I want to congratulate Shaq from Pluto for being our number 1 rated quarterback, at least coming out of week 1 and going into week 2. So Shaq went out and threw 6 touchdowns. That's a pretty good day for a quarterback. He did have 2 interceptions, but still threw 6 touchdowns. So, shout out to Shaq for being number 1 on that list. And then they played Niners, Moody's Niners. there's some surprises there. I'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to congratulate Esteban for he threw five touchdowns as well, and despite throwing less touchdowns than Shaq, despite throwing the same number of interceptions because he threw two interceptions as well, they still pulled out the win. And actually, I wasn't there to watch the game, but I'm hearing that Esteban himself had a pick six in that game, which kind of put them over the top. So he's number two on that list. And then going right down, we have Dre, which is a new team, but Dre's definitely not new to the league. I think he's played here before. And then 4 is Sim, 5 is Manjo, and then we have my man Danny from the Calibs coming in at number 6. And then, last but not least, we have Umair at the very bottom of the list. So Umair threw 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Danny threw he did throw 2 interceptions, but he did the job and got it done. And surprisingly, we had both Manjo and Sim play, and I think each one of them, Sim had 3 touchdowns and then Manjo had 2. So they put up 5 touchdowns themselves. So shout out to you guys. That's our QB rating for week 1 at least. We're definitely not doing the eye test and all these other things. We're basing this rating right now strictly off of what you've put out on the field, in terms of touchdowns, interceptions, etc. As the season progresses, we'll probably start doing a little bit more in terms of analysis and rating these guys. But at least right now, that's the tier 1 through 7.
Okay. Okay.
On the wide receiver, what do you think about that? I know
So I'm gonna
QB's
go out on
not.
a limb and say that Sims will probably end up number one.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
I think to me he's the best one in the league this year.
What about Danny?
Danny, I think Danny's some of his games are gonna be defensive slugfests. So I don't know if he's gonna get the opportunities. Like with Sims, those guys play really fast. Um, so I think they have probably create more opportunities. Shaq, I left right when they started, so I didn't really get a chance to like examine his team too deeply. I know Moody's team will be competitive, but yeah, I'm gonna say when it's all said and done, I think Sims will be number one, provided Manjot is sidelined. I think Manjot tweaked his knee last week, so
Okay.
that's why Sims stepped in. So, but we're hoping Manjot comes back fully recovered, and if he plays, obviously, then Sims is not in the picture.
So
But if
you're
he is,
say,
I'm
you're
gonna go
saying
with
there's a
Sims.
little bit more to the quarterback position besides just the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I've played against Sims for I don't know how many years, and I will tell you, there's never been a team I thought about playing, like I put thought into it, other than like Sims's teams,
So tell me,
because they're just
what are the characteristics if you had to build a team around a new person that and it's the quarterback? What characteristics, what are you looking for from a quarterback in terms of what they can get done? Overall picture to get you wins and not just regular season wins, playoff wins, and then championships.
so. I think the tangibles are, can you throw a nice spiral? How far can you throw? Like I can't throw that far, like not anymore. So I throw it early. That's how I compensate for the lack of arm strength. Do your teammates believe in you? Like, do they know that you're going to score right now? I think that's also very important because then they play harder because they know they can get the ball. Um, yeah, and I look at really the accuracy. Is it, are you making a catchable? Is the ball catchable for your receiver? Um, there are guys who have really strong arms, but they just don't know how to, but they don't know how to finesse it properly. So I would say in that order. First, the leadership. Does your teammates, do they believe that you're going to score? And do you have a plan? Like if they're playing man, how do you attack it? If they're playing zone, 3-2, 2-3, 1-4, whatever. Do you have a plan? So I think your teammates have to trust you, and you'd have to know how to break a defense down.
I'm with you on that. It's a pretty critical job to be out there and to deliver accurately, timely, to the right person, and then also maintain that leadership role in the huddle where your team believes in you and takes the directions that they need to take from you to go and get the job done, right? Because There's a lot of
Exactly.
teams that are there's some experienced teams, but there are still new dynamics in these teams, right? And I feel like having played the quarterback position, I know that my guys are going to run their routes, and they're fully in on what the play is. I have double the amount of confidence to get the ball where it needs to be before they get there, right? And I feel like once I feel like I start losing the huddle where guys aren't, which shows it all. Like if you want to stand on the sideline and watch some of these teams play, like some of the receivers, their body language will tell you what's going on in the huddle. So
Right.
yeah, I
Right.
think it's probably
Yeah.
like the most. It is. We know it's one of the most important positions, and for a lot of new guys that are coming in or with new teams, you know, build your quarterback up. You know, give them a little bit of give them a little bit of space to grow because once you can develop good chemistry and the confidence of your quarterback, you can go a long way in the league, right? If you don't have that, no matter
Ex-
how many athletes you bring in, AZ, it's not going to make a difference, right? But AZ's done a good
Right.
job at
Right.
what he's doing, so
Yeah.
I just had to throw that shot in there. But yeah, I
AZ
think
for GM of the year so far.
yeah, no,
Actually, Moody also. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
this actually brings me
Um,
right to my next thing, right? So now the quarterbacks delivering the ball. We got guys throwing 6 touchdowns, but this week we've got like in terms of receiving touchdowns, we've got a long list of people that have caught the same number of touchdowns. So the leaders this week are we got 2 guys from Power Puffs, right? Power Puffs already making a case for themselves, like you said. You got 2 quarterbacks in doing pretty well, and you have 2 receivers. They each have 2 touchdowns. So Phil caught 2 touchdowns, and Amneet caught 2 touchdowns. So they're right on top of the list in terms of leaders for receiving touchdowns. And then
right.
we've got everyone else that's on this list is also caught 2 touchdowns. And there's a very surprising name on this list, and it's Moody. Moody also has two
Wow.
receiving touchdowns. Listen, the guy's cooking out there. So this
Yeah.
slim down Moody, he's definitely chewing it up out there. So got to keep an
That's
eye out
right.
for this
That's
guy.
right.
And then Will from the
Yeah.
Caliphs has 2 touchdowns. And then you got Pluto. Pluto, Ismail, and RC both. Each of them have 2 touchdowns. So shout out to these guys for being the leaders in terms of receptions, touchdown receptions. Keep it up, guys.
So
What do you think?
it's a good thing that we have so many talented players and so many good teams. And then because the name of the game is offense. If you're not putting up, I would say 4 touchdowns a game, you're very, very not likely gonna win. Um, so I figure you look at, I mean, we emphasized, no shaving clock, so you're gonna get your money's worth, everyone. So you're gonna probably get 4 possessions, a half, if you play it right. And if you score half of that, that's 4 touchdowns for the game. That's what, 28 points.
That's
So
right.
yeah, if you're scoring half the time, that's 28 points. So you're gonna have to come in at least 4 touchdowns. So if you have a very diverse offense, then I think you can do well. But if you get stuck in your ways,
So,
keep doing the same
so
thing over
let
and
me
over
ask you,
again.
since you're a guru, pretty much, right? The offensive guru. So you go out there, coin toss. You take the ball or you take defense first?
So I would always defer. Like I'm not telling you how to strategize, but I am telling you how to strategize. Like if you
No, it's
win the
all you.
toss,
Like everyone's got their own
if you
ways. I want to hear
don't,
yours.
no, if you don't defer, yeah, you're an idiot. So excuse me, you have to defer, dude. It makes no sense. You want to give your team options.
Okay.
So when you win the toss, everyone defer. If you don't, then just
So
live with the
we might
consequences.
have to clarify the rules a little bit here because in this league
Mhm.
you have 3 options when you win the toss. You don't have just we take the ball first half and the other team takes the ball
Right.
second half. It's you
That's
can
right.
also defer your decision, which then puts it on
Exactly.
the other team to make a decision as to what they want to do both times, first half and second half. Is that how it goes?
Right. So if you win the toss, you can either take the ball, you can choose a side, you can take defense first, or you can, defer your choice to the second half. And once you make a decision, the other team, can either, well, obviously they would take the ball, right? If you deferred, right?
Right.
And then if it's a windy day, you could probably like, all right, you know what? It's a little game management because you got to figure out, okay, do you want the wind in the second half, first half, so and it's gonna get colder, right?
Yep.
So it's gonna be windy. Some days it might rain. So that's all part of the strategy. And in the second half, if you that's your choice. Now you could take the ball, or you can be like, all right, you know what? The wind is particularly strong. I'm gonna go, with the wind for the entire half. They can have the ball first. So it's like, I think a few choices, a few options,
A little bit more to
but
think
always
about.
defer.
Oh, yeah, definitely a little bit more to think about. So now,
Yeah,
the team that wins the toss, they defer, and then the other team now you got to play it right? Because you can't. You got to understand what's
exactly. Because
happening. Yeah.
there's gonna be times where the wind, and I've noticed in our last week at Mitchell, the wind blows a certain way. So just I'm not telling you what to do, but it blows. It does definitely blows a certain way. So when it's gusty, if you don't have a strong arm, it might be worth it to give the other team the ball, and then you have the wind behind your back because it's gonna be as it gets colder, it's gonna be harder to drive the ball through the wind. Yeah, just gotta think it through, man.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave them to that. We'll revisit this as things get intense out on the field. All right. So now I want to jump into defensive ratings. So I'm going to talk a little bit about team rating for just from a defensive perspective, and then an overall ranking for the teams for the elite division. So I'll shoot right through this. Right. Calip's gave up 0 points, top of the list. So their defense definitely held it down. They're right at the top. Powerpuff gave up 20 points only. They're number two. Although Ballers, we ended up losing, but we still only gave up 21 points, despite all the interceptions and those red zone troubles we had. So we're number three. And then the U gave up 33 points. So what you were saying, like you want to go out and score 4 touchdowns, you're probably going to get a win, right? So the U got scored on 4+ touchdowns. They lost the game. Niners gave up 42, but then that was a battle, and it seems like they went and took theirs, right? So they're number five on the list. They gave up 42 points to, I want to say, a new team, Pluto, which is amazing. But, Moody did make some excuses for his team. He was like, oh, we had 7 guys and one got hurt, and there was only 6 guys left. And, like he was giving me a story about what happened. But listen, new team, 40 plus points. Where's your defense, Moody? You guys are veterans. You guys have been doing this for a while. So either Shaq must be really good, or the Niners are having a rough day just defending. Because 6 touchdowns, that's a lot, guys. So even though you're by the numbers, you're still number 5 in terms of ranking out of 6 teams. Pluto's at the bottom with number 6. But if I had a judgment call here, I'd flip it and I'd just be like, Niners, you belong at the bottom. Your defense is just not that good, unless I'm missing
Yeah.
something.
To be fair, it's one game, so everything's gonna get skewed. For now, let's see. We have maybe about half the season through. We'll have a better idea of like the true talent level everybody has. But I would be shocked if the Niners gave up 40 points again. I'd just be shocked.
So listen,
Um,
it's a redemption week for them, and they get to play the Ballers. And Ballers put up 0 points last week, so maybe we're talking about a different thing next week.
okay, yeah, I think Omer. I know he had some issues at the red zone. That's what happens when you have a strong arm. You can't. It's hard to throw short. So he's got to learn how to take something off.
Yeah,
Short, so he can. Because he's trying to zip everything through, and it's tough. Especially when you're playing against guys like Will. Yeah, you're
I
not
think we got
gonna.
to bring in a consultant for him to kind of start learning the ways.
Yeah, yeah. I think
He's
that
got good
there's a
he's
lot
got
of
good talent. Just needs to check it down.
exactly. Yeah, and I think especially you got the first down. You got speed on your team. You guys are a veteran team also, so you know the rules. You've been through it.
Yeah, actually,
You made the finals last year.
which is a key thing, right? So first downs. So now you got to understand there's strategy in this also. This is not like you're playing for 10 yards at a time, right? You're potentially playing for 40 yards at a time, and that kind of is where it's one thing you have arm strength, one thing is you're accurate, but your choice of plays and the distance of the plays that you choose also plays a big role, right? So a lot of the newer teams, a lot of the newer quarterbacks, I see them just trying to get the long ball, trying to get the ball out 20, 30, 40 yards away. And listen, if you miss on one of your throws, you got a 2 second blitz in this league, and you're pretty much you got your back against the wall. You've given up 2 downs, and you got 1 down to get 40 yards. So you gotta keep your head up and kind of understand how to move the ball.
Right. I think understanding the rules, as you touched on, Usman, understanding the rules, knowing there's a first down, it's a 2 second blitz, which is really like a 1 second blitz. So in that scenario, you got to have a check down guy. You got to know where everybody is. You got to know the rules and take advantage with your personnel with the rules. And that's on every quarterback to do that. And if you see the guys who do it, they do well, and the guys who don't and they just struggle, and you look at them like, how are you not scoring? And then they don't score because they just keep running the same thing over and over again, thinking that there's no first down. They're throwing 40 yards every play. It's very hard to score in that way. So you got to chop it up.
All right. So next up is defensive players slash interception leaders, and I mentioned this before. Esteban off had 2 picks, ran one back to the house as well, so he's definitely at the top of the list. He's our number 1 ranked defensive player this week, followed by a tie between ZQ from the Caliphs and myself, thanks to Danny throwing me the ball twice. That's 2 more times than my own quarterback threw me the ball. So, I'll take it. Esteban definitely deserves 2 picks, running back, and you get your team a win. ZQ 2 big picks, I think, and mine didn't matter as much on the scoreboard eventually, but still, I guess I can take this accolade and say at least for week 1, I'm in the top 3 of defensive players.
No, that absolutely. And I know that you put your team in a position to come back. Just the offense failed you, so that's really not on you. You did your job. You added value to the team. Get their win expectancy up. But I have to say your metrics may be a little off. Anytime ZQ is in the top 3 of anything, I have to, question your calculations.
ZQ's got
So,
range. He has range.
right, right. He's got a big BS meter, so it goes that way and this way. You
Yeah,
know, it's
still fits the mold.
I hope Zeke's watching this because then I'm gonna have to go apologize to him if he's not watching this. So I hope he gets to watch this.
All right, so we're gonna do team rankings, and then we're gonna move on to the next division because we've definitely spent a lot of time on this, and I wanted to kind of keep it short. I definitely don't want to go that much further out. So I'll run through the rankings real quick. Let me know if you agree or disagree. But again, this is solely based on statistics and how well they did in their point differential. Right, Calips are at the top, 21 point differential. Powerpuff next. Niners. All 3 teams are 1-0. And then the remaining 3 teams, Pluto, the U, and the Ballers at the very bottom of the list. Just that's where I stand right now in terms of team rankings. We'll see what
Okay.
happens in week 2, but that's week 1.
Yeah, I think based on week 1 performance, that's I can't say I disagree with you, but I think over time, I think we have 8 games, so I think 8 games should be enough to kind of show us who's where, the true talent level. So I think that those things will change a little bit. I definitely don't expect you guys to be at the bottom. That's a big surprise.
I,
If it does, that's the
I,
case.
I definitely don't expect that either. But let's see what reality holds. All right, let's jump into show some love to the retro division. These guys are hustling and working hard out there. So what I don't want to do right now is I don't want to talk about individual QBs and individual receivers and all that yet. I feel like we're gonna give them a little bit more time to play a couple more games. Right now, like this thing is all skewed. Like Farouk is catching touchdowns. There's something happening in that division that we don't understand.
So actually, I saw Farouk's touchdown, and it didn't occur to me like he was going to the game. And I saw him reach into his pocket, slip the defender 20. So and then he got the touchdown right after
Very
that. So,
believable.
uh, but retro is supposed to be the fun division, not it's the legends or the elite or the A division, whatever you want to call it. It's more competitive. It's more workmanlike. The retro is just supposed to be fun. It's when I think of retro, I think of like the Super Mario Brothers. It's a bunch of plumbers playing. And and trying to be athletic, living out their Sports Center fantasies. That's really what I think of when I see retro.
See it
Yeah,
actually.
so retro is doing its job.
I do have team rankings though for retro. So I don't know if I can say led by Farouk, but the interceptors led by Farouk and company are at the top of the list right now, simply because the quarterback got Farouk the ball in the end zone and Farouk caught it. So like they're at the
Right.
top of the list. So they're ranked number one, and then it's every other, followed by the two teams that lost, Iman and the Bots. In terms of points, actually, I think the Interceptors put up 44 points last week. Pretty commendable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Bots got scored on. They gave up 44 to the Interceptors, but they also put up 32 points. So this was probably a fun game for them.
Yeah, so I actually watched that game, and a credit to the bots. That game was getting out of hand real quick, and then they just kept going, and then next thing you know, it's a very close game, and I think Interceptors put it away late, but it was a lot closer than it needed to be. It was a very good game.
Yeah, anytime you have a
So
high
credit to the
scoring game, I
bots.
mean, I'm a defensive guy. I like low scoring games, but anytime you have high scoring games, there was a lot of drama.
That's right. Yeah, it was a
And
lot of back
Farouk
and
was
forth,
playing,
but
so
I
he
gotta
had
say,
to.
Interceptors look good. I mean, their guys were like wide open, so I don't know. Once they have some time to play together a little bit, I don't know who's gonna stop them. They're just wide open.
So who's
Maybe
throwing the
the
ball?
Niners. I don't know who. Sorry, was that?
Who's throwing the ball for the Interceptors?
I don't know the dude's name, but I know Ezra was throwing. I don't know the other guy's name, but they were just throwing to wide open people. So it's like,
Wait a minute.
they're really they were just
Ezra,
running past people and
so Ezra
yeah,
was in the chat for like 2 weeks leading up to the season, saying, "You have to score 40 if you want to beat us." Look
and
at
he was
that.
not lying.
Look at that.
That's an
All
accurate
right.
statement. Because that's
That's a man that might.
and they got Greg also, who it's probably gonna have to be banned eventually because he's just nobody can guard him.
What it is? The
Yeah,
Megatron, as
he's
Farouk has
just
been
he's
saying.
yeah. Yeah, I think some teams should try to get Nafi into that on
Don't
their
give
team.
don't give AZ any ideas. Probably he's already knocking at the guy's door, as we know him.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, AZ I think already tried a few times, and he's gonna try again. It's on his schedule to keep calling Nafi every Friday.
all right. So that's that for elites. I mean, for the retro division, bots. Don't give up 44 points. You want to win games. Um,
Right.
and good job interceptors for scoring 44. Um, every other Iman, I think I predicted Iman was going to lose and was on the team just yet, but Farouk just jinxed that team, I think, at some point, and they haven't been able to overcome it. So they need to do something, to get over
I'm
lose
starting
to
to
Iman.
believe Farouk started this league so he could have friends. You know?
Let's talk about a little bit, outside of these games. I think week one was pretty fun. The field surprisingly was pretty good. I was expecting it to be a little bit worse. I heard some people say that the ground was really hard, but as we play on that field, it's going to loosen up a little bit, and it'll get better. It's not the greatest thing, but it's grass. Grass is just not that.
Right. I think when we looked at even if you I think if you look at the online if you look at like an aerial shot of Mitchell Field it's just dirt so the grass growing pretty quick and we're hoping it's a playable field want to make sure that the dimensions are proper everyone's getting they're getting their money's worth. So, but we are going to try to keep improving it. With the soccer, not soccer, the cricket World Cup, I think it was at Eisenhower. That kind of threw, a lot of things off. So that's not playable this year. So we try to get something, that was not too far from where we were before. So, but we're going to keep trying to make it better. Guys, just thanks for your participation and just stay patient with us. We're going to make this better for everyone, and hopefully we'll have a nice surprise for you guys playoff time.
All right, so I know I've said this before. I know we were trying to keep it short. We're already at the 30 plus minute mark, but a few more things I want to run through, and then we're going to let you go and have fun with your kids and get ready for
Yeah,
tomorrow.
they got dentist appointments, so I don't know how much fun they're going to have, but you know, uh,
All right, so talk to me about the refs. Like week one, I'm always like going head to head with the refs. I wish I just didn't have to talk to them in terms of like plays, callings, and certain. But we all have to kind of adjust to how the refs call the game, respectfully, right? They have a job to do. Um, they have rules to follow, etc. And us as
Right.
players, we want every call to go our way, of course, right? Like why
Of
not?
course. Of course.
And but one of the things I noticed, at least the game that I played in, was like the count was just either it was inconsistent or it was too fast or like I just missed it. So there was a
Right.
lot of quarterback hurries, quarterback blitzes, um, which I felt like weren't 4 seconds. I feel like the blitzes were not even 2 seconds. It was like the guy was running in immediately. So what do you think? Did you notice anything? I know there's always room for improvement, and as the weeks progress, everyone's going to kind of settle down and kind of get better at calling as well. What's your take so far?
So the referee should never be important in the sense that they should not be mentioned. We shouldn't even notice them. If we are, that means that something's off. And from week one, I got a lot of feedback that, like you're saying, inconsistent counts, missed calls, not really knowing the rules, not being that well versed. So we're gonna fix those things. So we're actually trying to make drastic improvements. If I don't know if you noticed, Usman, but the games were longer. We emphasize no shaving clock. That's a big no-no. Trying to get everybody on the same page. Just to they should know the basic rules. The game should move smoothly. I know that on your team, Usman, Umair got hit twice. That's a absolute no-no, hitting the quarterback, and no flag was thrown. Besides the penalty, we don't want anyone getting hurt. Also, there was a couple of calls that went against Powerpuff. Like though they were, those were points. So that's also not a good look. They gave up a touchdown to someone who left the field, came back in, and caught the touchdown. That's like, and you can't do anything because you're not reffing. But like things like that, we don't want everyone ever want anyone to feel like they're getting cheated. So guys, keep the comments coming. This is your league. You're paying to play, so that has to be. I cannot stress that enough. Everyone is paying to play, so they should get their money's worth. And just guys, just keep your eyes open and just continue to tell us, give us feedback. We're gonna make this right for everyone.
That's a good message for everyone too, right? Like I get it. I'm one of those guys that like I want the right call. At least like I want the rules. I want the rules in place. You know, sometimes the refs miss it, but
Right.
you
There
guys are
is a
good
human
person.
element, so right. But what we're emphasizing is we want reps to be engaged, meaning paying attention, because we can avoid a lot of things if they're just paying attention, moving with the flow of the game, and that should be easier. And just to your earlier point, Usman, we want the counts to be consistent, so we're working on coming up with something that works. And we'd like to get that done sooner than later, so we have some, real game time usage and get some feedback as well. So, because quarterbacks are rhythm players. If he knows 1, 2, I'm getting bliss. Another guy, one, he's getting bliss. That they could just, be more prepared and just, play their game. The last thing players should worry about is the ref screwing them. So that's what we're trying to, get better at.
We appreciate the efforts that are being put in. So let's talk about this week's matchups, and let's see what your predictions are based on what you know so far. So we know what are the games this week? They are looking like let's start 9 a.m. Calip's Powerpuffs, ranked number 1 and 2. What do you think?
I'm gonna say it depends on who shows up. I know Caliphs have a very good team, but I don't know if they're gonna have everybody. That's one issue. Same thing with Powerpuffs. I don't know if Manjot's still injured. I don't know if he's playing. So that one
Yeah,
is too many variables.
yeah. Forget the
Don't.
variables. Just
Okay.
assuming they all
Uh,
play.
on a new in a neutral field, I would say A Cape, or not A Cape. I'm sorry. Powerpuffs are probably slight favorites because of just they've been playing so long together. They're like
All right.
they're like the Browns were, like a decade ago. Like they're just a well-oiled machine. So
I'm gonna ride this one with you. I'm taking Powerpuff over Califs. Probably I want to say 2-21. All
okay,
right.
that's a big spread. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they score more than 3 on them. All right. So Pluto versus the U.
Uh, it's gonna be hard for me to go against my man Ken. So I know last week, that's a very talented team, but it just got thrown together. So they just need some reps together. And I think talent disparity, I think it's gonna show. So I
Okay.
think the
Yeah.
U should have it probably. Yeah.
Listen, I know Dre's a good player, but I've seen him throw the ball last week, and I'm not really quite sold.
Okay.
So, uh, for that reason alone, I know I might bite the bullet on this one, but like I'm going with Pluto just because of what I
Okay.
what I
All
do
right.
know.
I
I don't
hope.
know what Pluto is, but I do know what the U put out, and I've seen the quarterback throw the ball,
Okay.
and I wasn't convinced.
Okay. Fair
But
enough.
we'll see again, I don't know what kind of defense Pluto's going to put out, right? So they gave up 49 points. So you know what? The U the, the pressure's on you. You got to win because they gave up 40 plus
Right.
points last week. So but I'm still going to take the underdog here, which is Pluto. All right. So Niners Ballers, I'll give you mine. Ballers are going to win. You give me yours and we'll move to the next division.
So I gotta ask you a question. Are you gonna have everybody?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I think
yeah.
last week it seemed like you were short.
Yeah,
You had
we
like
were
seven
still
guys, I think, last.
listen, we're still in the build up process, right? So
Okay.
one of the things is like I wanted to come I want ballers have been in this league for some time now. And one thing is we've tried to keep our guys that just we just enjoy playing football together. It
Okay.
hasn't really been about like let's go out and win a championship. I know there's an element of it, but generally my management style is not so much like I'm not putting pressure on my guys that if you don't win me a championship, you're out of here. No, I'm switching you up.
Right. I got
My,
you. Okay.
we've got the
No,
same
I appreciate that.
guys and we have like the same guys in our group chat that have been there since day one, and they're still participants in the group chat, even though their wives won't let them come show up at the field anymore, for concussions
Okay.
and injuries and all that other stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
like the our blueprint really has been, just trying to keep our guys together that enjoy playing football. Like we kick it with each other outside of the games and outside of the league too. So, but like because of guys like Az, I keep bringing him up. We got to now beef up our roster, right? So now we kind of have to make room for guys that are actually going to come out there and like there's a talent difference as well. Only so many interceptions I can catch, you know what I mean, Shu? So,
I got you. I got you.
so
All right. You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say I haven't seen the Niners team yet, but I recognize some of the names, like Esteban and obviously Moody, and Josh. But if Nafi plays, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with Niners. I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
respect it.
just
I
I haven't.
respect it. Listen,
I've
if I
always said the
wasn't
only
on the
person that can
ballers,
stop
I would
Nafi is
choose them
his
too.
quarterback.
I hear you. If I wasn't on
Right.
the ballers, I'd choose them
Yeah.
too. But I'm on the ballers and I'm not going
Right.
against my guys. So yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna
Gotcha. I
have
respect that. Yep.
to answer your question, we're gonna have more guys this week,
Okay.
and then hopefully we'll build it from there. And then
Okay.
two more games, and then I think we can wrap this up. We got Iman versus every other. You know who the winner is here, or do you want me to call it out?
Well, I think every other is the quintessential retro team.
The other.
When I think of retro, I think of those guys. So I'm gonna go with every other.
Yeah, Iman's one of those teams that you got to win a game for me to change my mind.
Oh, damn. Okay. All right.
So for now, I'm gonna go with every other as well, and then
Right.
interceptors versus Niners B team.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with interceptors. Even though I know Moody's gonna he's gonna put Nafi in a mask and be like, "Hey, this guy's 75 years old. He can't play." He's like, he's good for retro. Uh, yeah, I'll go with interceptors because I think they're just, they were just thrown to wide open guys last week. So,
All right.
unless Moody could come up with something, yeah.
I'd like to show Moody some love here and kind of pick the Niners here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the hot team. They scored 40
All
plus
right.
points last week, so I'm sticking with it. So there you have it. That's week 2. what we think is going to go down. Let's see what happens tomorrow morning. And as usual, like, stay healthy out there, stretch, hydrate, do what you have to do, don't get injured, and just go out there, have fun. There's so much more I can talk to you about,
Absolutely.
Shu, and we definitely need to pick up again some point during the season because I still want to talk about what your involvement is in CFL. I'm still trying to convince you to come and play with us and start throwing the ball again. But we'll talk about all these things as the season
All right,
progresses.
Usman. So just full disclosure, I would definitely consider if I did playing with you guys. But you're number three. There's already two teams already asked me to play.
Hey,
Um,
listen,
and
it's
I
good to
just don't
have
have the itch right
choices.
now. So yeah, but it's good to have choices. Let's see. Maybe hopefully as we build up, we have good
That just
experience.
means that there are 6 teams in the league. So that means
Yeah,
I'm gonna take off AK from this Powerpuff Boys from this list. I'm gonna let them be
right.
on their own. All right. So you said 2 other teams, so we're down to 4 other teams. So we might run a poll and see which the other 2 teams are. There will be no
Yes.
surprises. There will be no surprises. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's Niners and Calips, but damn, Danny, they're already trying to replace you, bro. I gotta keep it
No,
funky
no,
around too,
no.
right? So,
No, the funny thing is,
and
no, the funny
and
thing is, it's
that's the
not the
line,
Niners.
bro. You out here throwing 5 touchdowns, and these guys are talking about bringing in another quarterback. That's wild.
No,
So,
Caliphs did ask me. AZ did ask me, but that was way before. I think that was like over the summer. AZ don't sleep, man. He's texting people right now, man. I guarantee you, he's texting right now. Nafi, if you don't play this season, how about next season? So and the other team,
listen,
obviously, my man Ken. So that was the other guy, Ken. So I can't,
actually, that would have been nice. That would have been
yeah.
nice to see.
So we'll see. But yeah,
All right. All right, you
thanks
go
for doing
take care of
this. It's fun.
business. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, man, I gotta sit in the car and wait for the dentist to do their stuff.
All
So
right, sounds good. I really appreciate your time.
everyone, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great weekend, everyone, and don't forget to vote. Don't forget to
All right,
vote.
see you guys tomorrow.
All right, guys. Later, Usman.